Okay, welcome everyone to Council's November the 14th meeting and the swearing in of the council. So we're excited you're here. I see some people, I'm probably going to miss somebody, but I see Warden Nicole Albright from the municipality of Argyle, and I see her deputy warden, Ted Sonier, sitting next to her. And in the front row, I see Argyle's Daryl LeBlanc, councillor, and I see Modi's warden, John Cunningham. And Lauren, I saw Lauren, and Councillor Lauren is here too, so. And I see Councillor, if I see former mayor.
The picture's on the wall.
Phil Moody.
Just checking to make sure we have a picture of us sitting here, I'll tell you that.
Just call me Mayor Vanna White. And yes, welcome, councilors. And we're thrilled you're all here, and I see family and friends, and it's an exciting night for us. So I will call the meeting to order, and I would like to acknowledge that we are holding this meeting on the unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq. And we're going to stand for the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. I've got a record of attendance. Everyone's here. Okay, so we're going to start with the election results report. CAO, do you want to take that for us?
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. And welcome to everyone here this evening. So municipal elections were conducted in the town of Yarmouth in October 2024 with a continuous poll beginning 2 p.m. on Wednesday, October the 9th and closing 7 p.m. Saturday, October 19th. There were 2 candidates for mayor and 10 candidates for the 6 positions for town council. Voter turnout was 46.3%. Elected candidates were as follows: Mayor Pam Mood, Councillor Steve Barry, Derek Lesser, Kelly Bashara-Lacroix, Wade Cleveland, Belle Hatfield, and Gil Dares. I want to acknowledge and thank our returning officer, Dave Solos, who's with us this evening, for running another flawless election. Thank you. And also a few members of our staff who pitched in and supported the effort. Jody Kinney was the deputy returning officer. Lindsay Florian helped out, as well as Mike Carter. So the next step, Your Worship, is to have each of you sworn in. And we have Martin Pink, KC, with us this evening to do the honor, former deputy mayor and town councillor for 12 years, I believe. So, Your Worship, if you would step forward, be the first to be sworn in. And to family members and those in the audience, please feel free to come forward and take pictures while this occurs. We have time, and this is a special moment, so if you want to take pictures, please feel comfortable to come forward.
And I would just like to congratulate all of the elected officials, and I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Clifford Hood, KC, one of my colleagues who was on council with me for many years. Would you like to affirm or swear? You want to put your hand on the Bible? And repeat after me. I, Pam Mood, swear
I, Pam Moon, swear
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors,
to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors,
according to law,
according to law,
and that I am duly qualified as required by law
and that I am duly qualified as required by law
for the office of mayor
for the office of mayor
of the town of
in
Yarmouth.
the town of Yarmouth.
And I will truly,
And I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
execute the duties of the office
execute the duties of the office
to which I have been elected
to which I have been
to the
elected
best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
And that I have not received
And I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward.
any payment or reward that doesn't include flowers or stuff like that.
That's right, that's right. Or promise thereof
Or promise thereof
for the exercise
for the exercise
of any partiality
of any partiality
or other undue execution
or other undue execution
of the duties of my
of
office.
the duties of my office.
All right, so we'll get you Pam to sign right here. Here's the official pen. All right, sign this one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I guess Steve Barry is
Yep.
the next one to be sworn in. Steve, do you want to affirm or swear? Whatever's your preference. Okay, so repeat after me. I, Steve Barry, solemnly affirm
solemnly affirm
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear full allegiance
to His Majesty King Charles III,
to His Majesty King Charles III,
his heirs and successors,
his heirs and successors,
according to law,
according to law.
and that I am duly qualified
I am duly qualified,
as required by law
as required by law,
for the office of counselor
for the office of counselor
of the town of Yarmouth.
of the town of Yarmouth,
And I will truly,
and I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office to which
of the office to which
I have been elected
I have been elected
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
And that I have not received
and I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of any partiality
for the exercise of any partiality
or other undue execution
or any undue execution
of the duties of my office.
of the duties of my office.
And you have to sign here. And I'll take your oath. Congratulations. And the next one I have here is Belle Hatfield. Belle, did you want to swear or affirm? Okay. So repeat after me. I, Belle Hatfield,
I, Belle Hatfield,
solemnly affirm
solemnly affirm
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to His Majesty King Charles III,
to His Majesty King Charles III,
his heirs and successors,
his heirs and successors,
according to law,
according to law,
and that I am truly qualified,
and that I am truly qualified,
as required by law,
as required by law,
for the office of counselor,
for the office of Counselor
of the town of Yarmouth.
of the town of Yarmouth.
and that I will be truly, faithfully, and impartially
And I will be truly, faithfully, and impartially
execute the duties of the office
execute the duties of the office
to which I have been elected
to which I have been elected
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and that I have not received
and that I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of any partiality
for the exercise of any partiality
or other undue execution
or other undue execution
of the duties of my office.
of the duties of my office.
Okay, get you to sign that right here. Wade Cleveland. Did you want to swear or affirm? Okay, put your hand on the Bible. I, Wade Cleveland,
I, Wade Cleveland,
swear that I will be faithful
swear that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to His Majesty King Charles III,
to His Majesty King Charles III,
his heirs and successors,
his heirs and successors,
according to law,
according to law,
and that I am duly qualified,
and that I am duly qualified,
as required by law,
as required by law,
for the office of counselor
for the office of Counselor
of the town of Yarmouth,
of the town of Yarmouth,
and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially
and that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially
execute the duties of the office
execute the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
to the best of my knowledge and belief.
to the best of my
So-
knowledge and belief
To the best of my knowledge and ability.
and ability,
And that I have not received
and that I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise
for the exercise
of any partiality
of any partiality
or other undue execution
or any undue execution
of the duties of my
of
office.
the duties of my office.
I'm going to get you to sign right here,
Thank you.
on official town pen.
Thank you.
And Gil? You want to swear? I, Gil Dares,
I, Gil Dares,
swear that I will be faithful
swear that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance to His Majesty
and bear true allegiance to His Majesty.
King Charles III,
King Charles III,
his heirs and
his
successors,
heirs and successors,
according to law.
according to law.
And that I am duly qualified,
And that I am duly qualified,
as required by law,
as required by law,
for the office of counselor
for the office of Counselor
of the town of Yarmouth.
for the town of Yarmouth.
And that I will truly, faithfully,
That I will truly, faithfully,
and impartially
and impartially
execute the duties of the office
execute the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
And that I have not received
And that I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise
for the exercise
of any partiality
partiality
or undue execution
or undue execution
of the duties of my office.
of the duties of my office.
Thanks, Gil. You need to sign here. Jared? You want to swear, you can put your hand on the Bible. I, Derek Lesser,
I, Derek Lesser,
swear that I will be faithful
swear that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to His Majesty King Charles III,
to His Majesty King Charles III,
his heirs and successors,
his heirs and successors,
according to law.
according to law.
And that I am duly qualified,
And that I am duly qualified,
as required by law,
as required by law,
for the office of counselor
for the office of Counselor
of the town of Yarmouth.
of the town of Yarmouth.
And that I will truly,
And that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
execute the duties of the office
execute the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been
to
elected,
the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
And that I have not received
And that I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise
for the exercise
of any partiality
of any partiality
or other undue execution
or any other undue execution
of the duties of my office.
of the duties of my office.
Get you to sign right here. Did you want to swear or affirm? Okay, put your hand on the Bible. I, Kelly Bashara Lacroix,
I, Kelly Cheryl Lacroix,
swear that I will be faithful
swear that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
bear true allegiance
to His Majesty King Charles III,
to His Majesty King Charles III,
his heirs and successors,
his heirs and successors,
according to law,
according to law,
and that I am duly qualified,
and that I am duly qualified,
as required by law,
as required by law,
for the office of Counselor
for the office of Counselor
of the Town of Yarmouth,
of the Town of Yarmouth,
and that I will truly,
and that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
execute the duties of the office
execute the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and that I have not received
and that I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise
for the exercise
of any partiality or other undue execution
or
other
other
undue
undue execution
of the duties of my office.
of the duties of my office.
And can I get you to sign right here? That should work. Congratulations. There you go.
You're doing this, no, we're official. Thanks.
Okay, now that we're official, we'll get down to the next order of business, which is the election of the deputy mayor. So what happens here is, first of all, we're going to need a motion to ascertain how long we want that term to be. So it's not written in policy, and it can be 1 year, it can be 2 years, it can be the whole 4 years. CAO, did you want to add anything to that?
No, Your Worship, you've covered it.
Okay, so you can talk amongst yourselves, whatever you're thinking. I believe we did 2 years before. You certainly can go to 4 years, and again, if you just want to do a year at a time, that's up to council. And then somebody make the motion, and we're good to go. We'll do the election. Any thoughts? Okay, Councillor Cleveland?
Sure, Your Worship, we might as well keep it at the 2-year.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, so what'll happen is when we do this election, it'll be for 2 years for the deputy mayor, whoever's chosen. What's that? Yeah, and then it'll be another 2 years. We'll do this again in 2 years. So the motion is for 2 years. Seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll ask for nominations 3 times. And after I ask for those nominations, when somebody's nominated, I'm going to ask if they are okay with accepting the nomination. If there's more than one, we'll go to a vote. Okay, so Councillor Bell, I'm going to ask this first of all. We did this the last time. Because we had 2 Hatfields, do you want to be Councillor Hatfield now? Do you want to be Councillor?
I'm not Councillor Hatfield.
No, I know you're not. But do you want to be first name or last name like Councillor Kelly, or are you Councillor Kelly Lacroix? Councillor Kelly's good? Councillor Bell's okay?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to nominate Steve Barry to the position of Deputy Mayor.
Okay,
Second that.
moved and seconded. Okay? And ask him first, right? Okay. Do you accept? Okay. So, thank you. Any more nominations? I'll ask one more time. Any more nominations for deputy mayor? Looks like it's a good thing you accepted. So our deputy mayor is Steve Barry. Thanks, everyone, for that. Okay, we just thought it would be nice if, after getting sworn in, if anyone from council wants to share a few words, doesn't matter what order you go in, just put your light on and I'll light you up. Go ahead.
What the heck, I'll do it. You know, last night I had a dream. It was horrible. I was here getting sworn in, and instead of going the way that it goes this way, he asked the old marriage question if anybody objects, and Phil Mooney jumped up, and I woke up at that point. I didn't go back to sleep again.
Oh my gosh.
It's my 9th year that I'm entering as a counselor, and that kind of amazes me. And time flies very, very quickly behind this table. As Deputy Mayor Steve Barry mentioned a few minutes ago, it feels like a long time, but it's not once you start moving, because there's so many things that you have to do. But it's always at this time when you get a little bit thoughtful about the counselors who have been here, the ones who have gone before, and the ones we've lost. And I would like to make a note, just remembering one of my mentors who we lost, Jim McLeod, and of course, Councillor Sandy Dennis as well. I lost both of those during terms before, and so I just wanted to mention that. One thing I've learned about a good council is a good council figures out how to work together. And that's such an important thing. It's interesting how it goes, because a really successful council, and I think we've been pretty successful as a council over the last few years, and I'm sure it's going to continue that way, but a council has the ability to disagree in a respectful way, to lay everything out on the table, to discuss back and forth. More than once at this table, I've had my mind changed, and it's a fantastic thing. And so I'm hoping that that just continues on. The other thing that makes council great is that it's not 7 versions of the same person. Everybody comes here with a different perspective, a different set of interests even, because there are so many different things that are part of the duties of council. And I'm sure we all bring our own priorities and our own wishes to the next 4 years. But I myself personally have a bunch of great things that I'm really looking forward to working through. And I'm sure that the rest of council kind of feels the same way. And so I'm just excited to get at her. And congratulations to everybody. Thank you very much.
Councillor Lesser?
Thank you. Just wanted to say thank you to my 5 daughters in the back.
My dear.
2 from Canada, 1 from Italy, 1 from Germany, and 1 from Spain. Thank you for coming. And one of my granddaughters is here as well. My wife chose not to come. No, I'm kidding. She actually is in Halifax away for work, so she wasn't able to come tonight. But I wanted to thank my family for allowing me to do this again. I went through a period of time during my first term that I thought there's not a chance I would ever do this again. And as it was probably the last 6 months of council that I realized what an honor it is to serve the people of Yarmouth and the people at this table, which is pretty close to the same table that we had, how good they made me feel every time I came into the chambers. So I wanted to thank them for making me feel at home. Looking forward to the next 4 years. It was towards the end of my first term that I started getting my feet kind of wet, and now I feel like they're kind of soaked, so look out as the next 4 years come along. I think we are going to accomplish quite a bit over the next 4 years. As we heard on the doorsteps, there's things we need to accomplish. Really looking forward to working with Argyle and the municipality of the District of Yarmouth, and thank you for those that came out tonight. And I'm going to end it at that, but thank you to all the candidates for offering, including the ones that didn't make it, for putting your name forward, and that's it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Dayers, or Councillor Gill, whatever.
I'm really glad to be back in this chair. Let's get to work.
Me?
Deputy?
I know one thing, if we ever have a meal, Gil will be the one saying grace, because short and sweet's how we like it. I'd just like to say thank you to the citizens for trusting us to be here, and to thank you to all those people who put their name forward. I look at the crowd and family, I see some former mentors and some partners from other municipalities, and I really look forward to working together, not only just locally, but provincially and federally, to see what we can do. Really a team player, and really happy to be part of a council that I can say that really supports each other, that when we do disagree, as Councillor Cleveland said, that we really work it out. And the main thing is that we're here to represent the people, and I hope we make them proud and continue to make Yarmouth a great place to be. So thank you.
I was hoping to follow Gil, because I have about 3 more words than that. I feel very privileged and acknowledge that this is an obligation to represent the people of this town. It's not just representing the town, it's the people of the town. And I want to just thank those people for their encouragement, their votes, and/or for helping me to be here today. And I especially want to thank my little girl who's watching, or on her way to watch, Taylor Swift, and my little boy who just popped in. They were my biggest supporters by far, and my sissy and my brother. So I just want to thank everybody that supported me in any way, and tell you how excited I am to be part of a team that does things that you do. I have no resume here yet, but I'm hoping to have one soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think, like Gil, I keep it short and sweet. I am here to serve. I'm here to get to work. And I just want to say, I guess, that I want to thank everybody that opened their... Oops.
I just want to thank everybody.
They want to thank everybody, too. I want to thank everybody that opened their doors to me during the campaign. And I want to thank everyone that engaged in this democratic process, because this is the messiest, best way to have our voices heard. And it is messy sometimes, and it's not perfect. And we do the best we can. And I can commit to you that that I will serve the community and the people in it to the best of my ability. And I think all of us around the table here are committed in the same way to looking at what we can do and trying our best to represent the values and the interests of this community, because we represent the heart of Yarmouth, and we're going to work hard to do the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I didn't do short and quick, sorry, but I wrote some notes, because you all know if I don't write the notes, because I'm a speaker, I'll just go on for 3 days. But I'm reminded today, I came in and it was kind of one of those moments, and I sat here and I looked to the left from top to bottom. My grandfather's there. And most of you know, when I was 11 years old, I told him I'd do this someday. And just didn't realize it would be for 16 years once I'm finished this term. So it is, like everyone said, a huge privilege to be sitting in this seat. I was out one day a couple weeks ago before the election, and a gentleman said to me, he said, "Oh, I support you, but are you just going to keep doing this your whole life?" And we all hear that after you're in for a term or two. People are wondering, when are you going to leave? And I looked at him, I said, "How old are you?" He said, "Well, I'm 80. And I said, "Have you ever worked a job more than 12 years in a row in your life, the same job?" And he said, "Okay, touche." I said, "Yeah, we're just getting good at it now." And I think everybody at the table agrees, there's not a day we sit together that we don't learn something. So it's great. So I'm just going to say some thank yous, some which people will say, I can't believe she said that, but you know, you all know me by now. The first thing I'm going to do is thank God for continuing to provide me with courage, strength, and wisdom to lead, because trying to do it alone just never works for me. I want to thank you for my 3 children who have always encouraged me, celebrated my accomplishments, loved me for exactly who I am. Don't go on social media and talk about me. And they also have the power to lay down the smack when mama starts to wander down the wrong path. 2 of them are here, Haley and Julie. And they don't like to be, but sorry, girls, this is my moment, even if it's all about you at this moment. So I love you for supporting me. You're my biggest supporters. To the election team for knocking on 2,000 doors, sore knuckles, but it was worth it, and letting me stay with every person for as long as they needed me to chat. I think, you know, as Councillor Bell always says, the most fun part of an election is knocking on those doors and having those conversations and meeting people. So it was beautiful. I want to thank council as well. To say you're the best would be an understatement. I've learned every time I sit with each of you, I learn from our conversations and our decisions, and I have much respect for everybody that put their name on the ballot, because it's not an easy thing to do. It's not for the faint of heart. In the end, the community sees the good work that's being done and the tough decisions that are made, and they've just asked us to continue with that. I would also say that regardless of how many new people, we have 1 new person at the table, but it's a brand new council, and we all know that. When you start a new mandate, brand new council. So Kelly, we're really excited you're here. I know you're ready to go. You were. We'll be double happy in a month. And as a couple of councillors already said, the beauty of this council for me, and I say this wherever I go, is that we throw everything on the table. Nothing's personal. And every single one of us has had our minds changed by somebody that's come up with an idea that we haven't thought of. And when you put it all on the table and it's not personal, you come up with the best decisions. So it's a beautiful thing. I got a couple more thank yous. One is to my left here. It's to Jeff Gushu, our CAO, and he hates having the light shine on him, which is why I do it every chance I get. So, I have said this time and time again, from day one, I wouldn't be half the mayor without this guy. You know, we've always said that when you make decisions at a council table, staff will bring the facts, and each of us brings our community values to the table, and you put those 2 things together and you come up with the best decisions. That's how you make it, not just on facts, not just on values, but putting everything together. And Jeff has done such a great job of doing that. You know, leaders, none of us knows it all, but we surround ourselves by the people that do. And you've built a team at town that is second to none, and that has gotten us, with our decisions, has made our decisions happen and brought them to life. And we love our staff, which means we kind of like you. Just saying, okay? So on a daily basis for 12 years, and I shared this with council, I share it with every council, I have spent every morning in this guy's office asking questions, because I'm a sponge. We've agreed, we've disagreed, we agreed to disagree when he knew I was right. And there was always mutual respect. So it's been a huge part of my learning, and I want to thank you for that. And I want to send condolences because of the next 4 years. All right, you're going to be fine. To our neighbors in the municipality of Argyll and the municipality of Yarmouth, thank you for working with us on such big projects, because they've been huge over the years. People don't see where municipal lines are. We've always said that. And it's important that everything we do is done with the region in mind. That's how we move forward, because nobody says, oh my goodness, I just put my big toe over the municipality of Yarmouth line. We just need to do things together. So I'm excited about that. Congratulations to Warden Nicole Albright and Warden John Cunningham on your positions, and get ready for a fast and full 4 years. And not not the least, to the people of Yarmouth, a straight from the heart thank you for believing in me and asking that I continue on leading you into the future. We all know that there's always more that has to be done. That's the virtue of the position, and we're aware of that at this table, but you said we're on track, so thank you for that. I'm going to share a couple of promises, and I'll try to be quick, but I won't be. A few things. On top of all the projects and the everyday work that we do, number one for me is teamwork, to continue to do my part as we work as a team that includes council, staff, and citizens of Yarmouth to get where we need to be, because that's how we get there quickly. And as we do more engagement, we know that'll happen. It's quite a ride, but we're together in this. Number two is advocacy. I've always said and firmly believe that everything that gets done and gets done well is based on the relationships that we have built as individuals and the relationship that we've reached out to. Advocacy is a large part of my job because not everything that happens in town is under the town's mandate or under our ability to fix. We wish it were. This council has never passed the buck on anything that matters to community. Not once can I look back and say that. However, we have had to navigate the system to direct the issues that we have no control over to the right levels of government. The bigger issues like housing, all the ones on top of our minds, housing and healthcare and mental health, all those bigger ones. We can do everything we can from our level, and then the advocacy piece starts. And I'm always excited for that work. Number three is education. I'll be working with communications. We've already been talking to put a focus on education. So there's a greater understanding of what we do at this level of government and sharing what the other levels do as well, because education is key to growth. And you can look for, in the upcoming weeks and months, some mayor's municipal moments that will share some learning opportunities for everyone out there. And the last one is a safe space. And these are all on top of the big projects we do. I went to Argyle's swearing in, and when Warden Albright stood up and thanked her council for being forward-thinking and brave enough to put a woman in leadership, I cried, and it wasn't because there was onions in the treats. It brought tears to my eyes because everybody doesn't do that. And for some reason in 2024, everybody doesn't understand that you can sit in this seat as a woman. I say it's never affected me because nobody at this table has ever, or staff has ever made me feel like there's a gender difference. It's just I am who I am. But I know it's out there, and it's a big deal. So to the young women out there who would love to sit in one of these seats one day, I watched my grandfather do it, and it encouraged me. And I've made sure that both of my beautiful granddaughters have sat in this very seat with the mayor's sign right up front and laughed at their excitement as they screamed into the, and I mean screamed into the microphone, "I call this meeting to order!" And they were excited. And it's a memory that I hope stays with them as they learn to service community. It's important. So the promise I make to every young woman and women in general is to stand firm against the bullying, the harassment, the abuse, and the judgment while sitting in this seat, because I want you to be able to sit here one day. The positions you've entrusted us with at this table are positions of service, as everyone at this table has said, to an amazing community. We're here because you've trusted us to make the right decisions for the right reasons, and we'll rise to that occasion. I think we can also say that doing the right thing for the right reason means somebody's going to get upset every once in a while because everybody won't always get what they want. And so if I had to close with one thing, it would be an encouragement to folks to understand that council's listening. We're all listening, and you can get us any number of ways, but let's try to be respectful in how we approach each other. And a change in attitude and a change in how we talk to each other, for me, is the best way to move a community forward. So understanding too that we're here in service to you, but Yarmouth is our home too, and we would never do anything to harm it. So thanks everyone for coming. Your support matters. Okay, now, we got business. Approval of the agenda. So now we're at a regular council meeting, so you can, folks can do what we're not insulted if you get up and leave if you didn't bring popcorn. Thanks, Martin. We'll give folks a second.
Congrats, Mel.
Sounds good. All right, take it easy. And that's it, she left.
Oh, I see her.
I was scared to death for when he was going to jump up there.
I'm back here, Jess. You got a job for another 4 years? Yeah.
I thought you were retired.
Not 100%, but I'm close. Yeah. Keep going. Good night's sleep last night. No, it's going good. Yeah, we rebuilt the soil. Maybe it'll get in the water this year. It took some time to rebuild that. I rebuilt my deck. Really? Also, try to fly deeper to the word. Oh, that's a job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just making a job in itself. You know what? I went to the graduation. Kids were getting me. I got the agenda. How many thousands? Three candidates.
We are.
I was waiting for you to jump up and say, I object.
How did I get involved in this thing? So, I'm at the Bank of Montreal, and Jessie, she's Mike Pictor's girl, bigger girl, fun, nice girl. But she said, I'm just waiting on Charles Crosby.
You know,
This morning, yesterday Mayor Mood was there, and they tell me they used to be mayor. Yeah, I did, yes, I was. Did they elect anybody? Take anybody off the street for mayor? Basically, yeah. Yeah, basically. Hi, Elaine. Basically, that's what they do. They'll take anybody. They'll take anybody.
I just sit there.
They'll take anybody.
I'm just going to say, yeah, you too, to Derek.
How you doing, buddy? Deputy Mayor?
See you, Cliff. Thank you. I'm not here for my kid or anything else. But essentially, I don't know, but we don't have to. Just say that. I'd love to have it, but-
You know what most of that stuff we talked about? Was that something
Oh,
else?
no.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, we good to go? So let's do an approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Okay? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, approval of minutes, Committee of the Whole, September 26, please. Okay, Deputy?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Special Town Council of October 29th, please. Was that a funny meeting? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, so we have, oh gosh, we got 3. Okay, we have public hearings. The first one is 600 Main Street. So what will happen here with the public hearing is I will ask 3 times if anyone wants to speak to the item that I've just read. I'll ask 3 times. If you want to speak to it, you come to the microphone, tell us your name and where you live, and you can share your thoughts with council. Council does not make a decision now, we just make it later in the agenda. It'll come right back up, but you can come up and certainly share what you're thinking. So 13A is to the proposed development agreement, which is attachment 1, to allow for 7 short-term rental units at 600 Main Street, and that the minimum number of on-site parking spaces is 3. Would anyone like to speak to this? Would anyone like to speak to 600 Main Street? And I'll ask a 3rd time. Would anyone like to speak to 600 Main Street? Okay, hearing no one, we'll move on to the next one. I'm going to say this for these, and correct me if I'm wrong. The province had us, we have to now register Airbnbs. So what happens is some of them that may not have registered in the right manner would come up, but we're not losing space. We're not losing housing space. That makes sense, okay? Because people see these and they think we're turning housing into Airbnbs, and that's not the case. They've already existed. It's just registrations, and they need us to sign off, basically, to say that you're in the right zone, okay? Did I surprise you in my 4th term? Okay, so we heard no one, so that'll be moved on. 13B is 42 Queen Street to the proposed development agreement attachment 1 to allow for a short-term rental unit at 42 Queen Street. Would anyone like to speak to this one? Okay. Anyone like to speak to the Queen Street issue? And a 3rd time, would anyone like to speak to Queen Street? Okay. Hearing no one, we'll move to 13C, to the proposed development agreement, again, attachment 1, to allow for 2 short-term rental units at 30 Parade Street. Would anyone like to speak to this one? Would anyone like to speak to 30 Parade Street? Okay, and I'll ask one last time, would anyone like to speak to 30 Parade Street? Okay, that was the most public hearings we've ever had. That works, okay? So they're just going to move down to the business arising, which is coming up right now, 14A. So this is for council discussion and a decision. The recommended motion at 14A is that council pass 2nd reading to the proposed development agreement, attachment 1, to allow for 7 short-term rental units at 600 Main Street, and that the minimum number of on-site parking spaces is 3. Can I have that motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you, Counselor, seconded by Deputy. Any discussion on this one? Okay, go ahead, Deputy.
Just more of a comment. As you mentioned earlier, this is just getting in with provincial regulations, but also this also goes through a PAC before it comes to us. So this isn't like a rush decision. It comes to council and we pass it. This also has committee level and then comes to us, just so people are aware. And I believe CAO, I believe our short-term rentals are 3% or less of our total rental, give or take. I believe that was the stat that you said before.
Yeah, I looked at the planner and he kind of gave me the look that that's in the ballpark.
Good. So short-term rentals are 3% or less of our total rental in the town, just so people are aware.
Thank you, Deputy. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. 14B, 42 Queen Street, the council passed second reading to the proposed development agreement attachment 1 to allow for a short-term rental unit at 42 Queen Street. Councillor Lesser's moved that, seconded by the deputy. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. And 30 Parade Street, that council passed second reading to the proposed development agreement attachment 1 to allow for 2 short-term rental units at 30 Parade Street. Moved by councillor and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so 14D is parking violations. The recommended motion there is that council pass second reading to amend the parking violations bylaw to be consistent with the Motor Vehicle Act penalties. Can I have that motion, please? Okay, deputy, seconded. Councillor Bell, discussion on this one? So this is just a numbers thing. We're just catching up with the province. Yeah. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. All right, so now we have a site plan appeal for 16 Brunswick Street. So what happens here, just a second now, I gotta bring up this one. Technology. Okay, so that's the appellant, Kelly. Right? Kelly had. Yeah. Okay. All right, so there's a site plan approval request for boarding rooming house for more than 3 rental rooms at 16 Brunswick Street. So we're looking for approval of this or discussion on this, but we, yeah, you go right ahead. I'm just looking for the.
So, Your Worship, when there's a site plan approval through the development officer, that is appealable to council. Neighbors immediately adjacent or in the near proximity of an approved site plan are notified by letter, and they can notify us, I believe it's within 10 days, of their intent to appeal. That has occurred with the one at 16 Brunswick Street. Kelly Adams has submitted her appeal. It is on your agenda. So your opportunity here as council is that you can make any decision that the development officer could have made. So I can speak to this a little bit if you wish, and that is that site plan approval is a fairly quick process when relative to other options. And another option in this case was a development agreement. A development agreement requires the writing of a report, the drafting of an agreement, goes through the PAC, goes through two regular council meetings, and then an appeal process. So it could take several months. A site plan approval is much simpler than that, looks at the characteristics of the site, the lot itself, and that's laid out in the development officer's report. In the case of this particular development or proposed development at 16 Brunswick Street, they're looking at putting in boarding or rooming house with a capacity of 9 rooms. There were no proposed exterior changes to the lot, so no changes in lot grading, no changes to parking, no changes to the structure outside in terms of the footprint, no changes to vegetation or fencing or anything to do with the lot that gave the development officer any cause to reject the site plan. So the site plan was approved. You have those same considerations as are outlined in the report. And there are concerns that the appellant has, but they are not of that particular nature. And so you have the opportunity to make a decision to look at what the development officer did and either uphold the decision or to allow the appeal and overturn the decision. I guess I would offer a little bit more information if you wish. There is still work to be done prior to there being a permitted rooming and boarding house there. So a site plan approval is not a green light in its entirety to go ahead. Now that that step is achieved, the next step would be to apply for a building permit, because presumably there will be changes to make the building suit the intended use, and the building inspector would have to ensure that the building renovations would be compliant with the National Building Code. That would provide for occupant safety. The fire inspector would also be involved because there are Fire Safety Act requirements as well, and so those would have to be addressed if there are any concerns and the act met. And then, of course, work would be carried out, and that would be inspected, and once it's approved, an occupancy permit would be granted. And so this is just the first step. There are further steps, but your challenge tonight is to look at the site plan approval and make a decision of whether to uphold it or to overturn it.
Okay. Councillor Bell. Oh,
Nope.
go ahead, Councillor Cleveland.
Your worship, in this particular case, and I'm all for expansion, for development, but in looking both the place over and reading the appeal, I tend to lean towards the point of the appeal. This is what I would consider, and I don't even know if the wording was in there, and I don't think it was, but to me, this is a duplex. And someone has purchased half of the duplex in good, assuming, and I know one should never assume, but assuming that the other side would be occupied by another family or another group of person, but to have that be shared with a boarding house would certainly give me pause for concern as well. Now, I don't know how we move forward on that, but I will be honest with you, I agree with the actual appeal in this particular instance. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering if I could get some clarification about the difference between what would be different about going through a development agreement process other than the time. Would it front end load the all of the fire safety, building inspector processes, or if they went through a development agreement, would they then still have to go through all of that other, all of those other factors after the fact too?
So they would have to go through the building permit and the fire safety, fire inspection, all that as well. That would not change. What would change is that you would have, what a development agreement does is it basically, it creates a specific land use bylaw for that lot. And so anything that's within scope in a land use bylaw can be imposed on this lot, in this development, whether or not it would have otherwise through the land use bylaw, and probably not, right? So it's a more detailed approach to it, and it's a public process as well. So a site plan approval is an administrative process
yeah.
with very few criteria. A development agreement can be very complex, and we've
Yeah.
had some complex ones at the table.
Yeah.
But it's also a public process, so people can come forward and they can object to it, and council can refuse a development agreement as long as it's consistent with their municipal planning strategy.
Right. Okay. But there's no inconsistencies with this process, with the site plan process, for the reasons that were outlined in the report. There's no changes to, like, they're not expanding anything, it's within the physical structure that exists there now. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Having read all this, I'm a bit, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I do know the process that has been explained allows for this to happen. I do have some concerns about the state of the property, that side of the building, more so than I do of the use of the space. But having been through 2 inspections of my own house in the last year, I know how thorough they can be, and I think any of those issues that are listed is what I'm seeing are mostly around safety and the look of it. I know in my case I had to redo work in order to make things meet the standards, and this will certainly have to do the same thing. It's going to have to meet the fire is one thing I'm concerned about, the fire safety, but it's going to have to make it through that process. And those processes are in place to allow safe development to happen. So although I feel for the person who put the appeal in, because if I was living there, it would be hard. But I do live next to an apartment building, and we've had tenants in the past that have made our lives difficult. But when I bought the place, I knew that at some point I could have tenants on either side of me, and we now have great tenants next to us. But if they decided to turn it in from a 3-unit to a 6-unit, there's not much I can do. I guess I could appeal it, but I think if it's within the act to allow this to happen, outside of the safety and the look of it, which will be I'm assuming be addressed when the next phase goes through, because they'll have to pass that. I don't really see a reason to not allow it to go through, although on a personal side, I do feel for the person making the appeal.
So I would, anyone else? I would just, everything you said I was going to share as well. And we all, when someone appeals, we all have that feeling. We wish we could fix everything. The question before us this evening is with regard to the site plan approval, and our staff that did this work and approved it under the rules and regulations that exist. And our job is to look at those same rules and regulations, and there's nothing different. So even though we can say no, can we say no if we're just following the rules and regulations? And again, it goes through another process. And for me, that's the most important part, that all we're saying right now is that, yes, this can happen. And in saying, yes, it can happen, we are also saying, because we understand that it has to go through our building inspector, and it has to go through our fire inspector. And you just called it. We know how thorough they are. If safety is an issue, I don't think anything's going to get by them with regard to safety. It's what they do. It's what they're really great at. So but from me, I'm just feeling like I'm 100% okay with this. Understanding it's difficult for the person that brought forward the appeal, but our job is to, understand what we're saying yes and no to, and I feel like we do. And then the rest is taken care of by staff in another manner. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just an observation for, just for the thought of it. There is, I don't think, anything in our bylaws that restrict how many people live in a house, is there? So, if you're talking about a 9-rooming house, you are you're institutionalizing what could happen anyway. I mean, you could have 6 kids. I came from a family of 6 kids. You know, there were 8 people in our house. So I just, that's just an observation. I don't know the circumstances, but I'm just saying that I don't think there's anything that stops a home, someone having people in a house. So it sounds to me as though this is an attempt to codify what might already, what might already be in because in the letter, the complainant, the applicant, is talking about not knowing her neighbors. There's a lot of people, so I don't have any problem with this, with upholding this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so the motion's on the floor. All. Oh, we didn't. So do we? Yeah. Yeah, so let's do a motion to, however you want to do it. You can do a motion to uphold allow the appeal or deny the appeal. Who wants to do that? Go ahead, Councillor Lesser.
I'll make a motion to deny the appeal. I've already said, I guess, why, so I don't need to say that again, but I'll make that motion.
All right. So in denying, yeah, okay, thank you. Sure thing.
Having seconded, I just want to say that we have empathy. I just don't think we have a choice.
You're right. Okay. All right, any more discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary?
Nay.
Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. Site plan appeal. Okay, committee appointments. So I'm just looking for a motion to approve the committee appointments as we discussed earlier. Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion? Oh, do you want to discuss? No, you good? No discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, Cultures, Park and Recreation Master Plan results. The recommended motion there is the council award the tender for the Culture, Parks and Recreation Master Plan to Expedition Management Consulting Limited for $78,848 plus HST. Can I have that motion? Okay, Deputy, seconded. Oh, seconded by Councillor Lesser. Any discussion on this one? Go ahead, Councillor Bow.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. I just wonder, we didn't see the terms of reference or the actual proposals. Yeah, there was a request for proposals, so we haven't seen them. Could you speak to them in terms of what were the deciders in making this recommendation?
So they are kind of identified very succinctly in the last paragraph of the memo. Scope of work, project timeline that was proposed, their experience specifically, and proposal pricing. So we had a group of staff of 4 people who met individually, scored the 3 proposals, met, and there was a consensus that Expedition was the better proposal. Yeah, so we're very excited if this gets approved to begin the work.
Perfect, thank you.
Deputy?
I'm very excited to move forward with this. Anyone who knows me knows that recreation is high on my list. It was one of my campaign promises that we would be more inclusive of our community organizations who run sports, and I look forward to improving our rec services, and also with the addition of the culture and parks in there. I think when we're done, we're going to really have something to be proud of. So happy to be supporting this one.
Thank you. I think that's what I'm most excited about too, to put these together with the culture piece that we've talked about. Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried, thank you. November Committee of the Whole date change. I believe we are at NSFM that week, so we're going to change the date. So that council changed the date of the November Committee of the Whole meeting from November the 28th to November the 21st. Please. Wait a minute, what's going on? You're thinking something.
I'll make the motion. Okay.
No, wait a minute, can you get different tickets? Can you get different tickets?
I made the motion.
Hang on. Okay, you made the motion, did you second it? Wade, you good that day?
No, but that's okay. I'll come for a bit of it and I'll...
Okay. Motion made. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. All right, tender results, 2024-25 snow clearing. That council award the tender for the parking lot snow clearing and removal to the lowest tenderer, N. Hurlburt Excavating Limited, for the 2024-25 season. Councillor Keller, are you shaking your head to make that motion? Sure. Okay, any movement, it's like an auction. Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Lesser.
Is there I'm just wondering, I see there's 2 people that bid. Would that be the normal? I don't remember in the past. Is that around how many people normally would apply? I don't, just probably.
Go ahead. I can't remember, a couple times we had 3. Yeah. Yep. Okay, any more questions? All those in favor? Contrary? Motion carried. Tender results, trucking of highway bulk salt, 2024-25 season, that council award the tender for the trucking of highway, I guess I'm repeating myself, highway bulk salt to Rose Valley Trucking and Excavating for the 2024-25 season. Moved and seconded. Discussion? Hang on. Just gotta look at the number. Rose Valley Trucking and Excavating. So that's higher. Why are we going with higher? Was there? It
So-
just looks like, oh, it's 2 different companies. It look like, yeah, go ahead.
So, Your Worship, we are going with the recommendation, I should say, is for Rose Valley Trucking, and the amount is $58. And you'll see in the memo from the Director of Operations that that will require delivery from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. In the past, when we used to have delivery at the convenience of the trucker, we had complaints from neighbors that trucks coming of all hours delivering highway salt. So to respect the neighbors, be good neighbors ourselves, and to take the best price available for the 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. delivery. The other factor is that if delivery does come in the evening or early morning, require staff to come in, and that can result in overtime charges. So any savings from the rate could be lost right there in extra wages paid to facilitate it.
Good, thank you. All right. Any discussion, anyone? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Road closures, that council directs staff to prepare a report outlining the requirements for road closures, specifically focusing on who is authorized to manage traffic control. Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion on this one? Go ahead, Counselor.
Just some background on this is, I know last summer the car show talked about the hard time it was to pay the bill to make sure the road is closed to meet traffic authority demand. And I'm just, I guess, looking to see if other groups are able to do it. I think most of the time it goes to one group, but just to look at what options there might be for groups that want to do events in the town, which we're trying to promote, that may need road closures, including our own events, like Remembrance Day or the Switch, that may reduce the cost and hopefully increase the amount of people applying to have events in the downtown.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion, what? Motion carried. Okay. Reports, council advisory. Oh, look at that, nothing there. You're off the hook, deputy. Okay. Citizen advisory, planning advisory committee, Councillor Cleveland, there was nothing there for you either. And deer management, Councillor Dares, are you good to take that one? Yes, I am. Okay. So the recommended motion there is that council submit a management plan to the Department of Natural Resources and Renewables in regard to the urban deer population, including a controlled call.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Go right ahead.
So this recommendation came from the Deer Management Committee, and you'll see included in there because we want to telegraph the punch. We want to know, the public to know that the management plan that we are considering that's being recommended after, what, a year and a half of research and is recommending that the plan include a controlled call. We don't want to surprise anybody by avoiding the truth. And the truth is that has to be, we consider that has to be part of the plan. So we'll be working on that in the future, along with the Department of Natural Resources and Renewables, and hopefully we'll see some answers in the future.
Okay. So just for your information, so I don't forget, I spoke with Kevin today. So are you okay to take media calls on that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I know they'll come to me, but
No, not a problem.
you're the expert in that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Expert, thank you.
Well, you've had the most questions. Councillor Kelly?
Yep. So you said in a year and a half, after studying it for a year and a half, to consider the call? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, sorry.
The committee has actually looked at all of the possible mitigation strategies that are out there, whether it be, trap, neuter, release, trap and relocate, contraceptive methods, you name it. We've looked at everything. And quite honestly, even though there may be in the future another mitigation strategy that we can employ along with an organized call, we see that the most likely success we'll see in reducing the urban herd is through an organized call. And that seems to be, that'll be, I think it was unanimous at the committee that has to be part of the plan.
Go ahead.
So did the committee look at studies of how effective a call is? Because there are studies that show that a call does not work. It has to be a hunt. So that would be not a one-time thing. It would have to be effective at all in reducing the population within town limits. Not saying that the deer outside of town limits can read the signs of when they come into town or not. That a call is ineffective long-term unless it's a hunt. So it would have to happen based on scientific studies every year for a period of many years.
Jump the mic off again.
Nope, that's okay.
Yeah, and the the plan that we submit would be a multi-year plan. We'd have to be repeating the data collection year after year in order to justify the continuation. So it's not going to be a one-shot deal. It's going to be something that we'll probably have to do ongoing for as many years as it takes.
A hunt.
And hopefully, I know we've had some initial discussion about the fact that we'd like to see the province more engaged in the process, that it shouldn't, I mean, personally, I don't feel it should be just solely a municipal responsibility. And I also think that in the future, we're going to have to probably reach out to our neighbors because deer don't know the town boundaries. And so, and I know that we're in the process right now at the airport. We've got a problem with deer in the runway. And so we've reached out to DNRR for permission to control that issue as well. It's not a simple, I have to give all kinds of credit to the volunteers that were on the committee. It's been a year and a half, I guess, and Councillor Cleveland can back me up on this. It's been a year and a half of in-depth research and collecting data, and hopefully we'll be able to have a reasonable solution presented to the department and that they will get approval for our plan.
Nope. Go ahead.
Do we have access to that data and how it was collected?
Yep, we've got, a year ago, we conducted a roadside count, and in the past spring, we had a consultant hired that did a pellet group inventory, which is that's the data that the department relies on for accurate, or as accurate as can be, population numbers. And that pellet group inventory is likely something we'll have to repeat each spring.
So we know there's a lot of deer without anybody counting, right? And that's not a criticism.
Oh, yeah. No,
We know,
no,
we
no.
don't have to count pellets. We know there are a lot of deer. My question should have been, do we have any data to support how effective a cull is?
Okay,
Because
so
to
we're-
my knowledge, with the research that I've done for the past bunch of years, there is no data to support that it works.
Yep.
So my fear would be that we pay a lot of money to engage a cull that ultimately won't work. Possibly, highly possible that it won't work. So we pay a lot of money, upset a lot of town people. Look, I'm an animal lover. I'm not going to hide that, but I serve meat on the table when people come over. I don't use how I feel, and I don't try to push it on other people ever. So it's not that. It's about stats and scientific studies and what works and what doesn't. I agree, as an animal lover, there are too many deer in town. What I don't agree with is a violent reaction to try to depopulate. I don't think the town people who disagree on it, I don't think either side, I don't think it has to be either or. I think there's got to be a solution that could appease everyone. If we cull, this is just my own and personal opinion, if we cull, we upset a lot of people. If you don't cull, but reduce the population, no one's upset.
So-
If that's possible.
So I'm wondering, I'm sorry, I'm not following, I think. How do we reduce the population without a hunt or a cull?
Well, how did it work in Truro? How did that cull work in Truro?
Oh, wait,
They have a bigger problem now. The problem originated because they put a bounty on coyote, the only predator of
so
deer
this
naturally.
So this is an issue that's not province-wide, it's national. It occurs right across the country. And what we found in the last year and a half is that the mitigation strategies that are being researched now, I mean, there is no approved contraceptive right now that we're aware of.
Yeah.
Trap, neuter, release is not
Impossible.
practical.
Yeah.
Trapping and relocating is not permissible. So there's all kinds of considerations, but what we're saying is that in order to control the population, because it is multiplying year after year, and that's probably more anecdotal than it is supported by data. but I think everybody can agree that we're seeing more deer now than we were 2 or 3 years ago. And so the call is an organized, controlled way, in as humane a fashion as possible, where the animals are actually processed and that the meat is donated through the food bank. We've already confirmed with the food bank that they'll take as much of the product as possible as we can provide, and that the hides would be donated for use. For example, we have one individual who makes drums on the First Nations and would like as many deer hides as we can provide. So we'd like to make sure that not only is it as humane as possible, but that the animal doesn't go to waste. But the cull is considered to be one of the strategies that probably is first and foremost needs to be employed in order to at least control the size of the herd and possibly reduce the numbers. And hopefully we'll have another mitigation strategy that we can employ as well, such as contraception in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You can both turn them off. Thank you.
I just wanted to throw a couple of very small, I swear, small things in. First off, in many instances, what we're getting, and I'm an animal lover, love to go out and look for them. I have them everywhere, and they are everywhere. And exponentially, they're getting larger. And in some of those studies where culls take place, what they found was that the population didn't go down at all. It also didn't go up. And exponentially, yearly, we're getting huge increases in the amount, to the point where this year was the only year that I can honestly say I felt it was unsafe, because there are deer in the roads all the time. The other thing I wanted to mention, and it's the contraceptive part, because that's the part that I'm a huge fan of, and was hoping that I could get going here. My dream ultimately was to get a research project going, because that contraceptive is only available right now legally in the States. In Canada, you can use it for research projects. And I spent the better part of a year working with MITAC and just outreach to various universities here within Nova Scotia at the very least, to try to get one who'd be interested in taking part in a research project to see how that worked. Nobody bit. And I'm very saddened that that didn't happen, because that was kind of my hope, but unfortunately it didn't.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, just a concluding comment, and I, along with Councillor Cleveland, I'm an animal lover as well. And this is not something that we have taken lightly, but it is, I believe, the most practical and most sensible and most affordable method of moving forward with this.
Okay. So when we submit the plan, we submit a management plan, then what's the next step? Like, is it a done deal? It's never a done deal with the.
No, not at all. I think we'll have to, we haven't got, we don't know that we're going to get approved.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to give you some history is, when Truro first identified that they had a problem, when the mayor first wrote to the department and said, we've got a problem with deer in our community, from that day until the day that they were first approved to have an organized call was 7 years. But they were 7 years getting to the point where they could actually engage in a plan. We're hoping, because our numbers are high, we're hoping that it won't take us 7 years. We've been at it for a year and a half now. But we wanted to make sure that we did due diligence in looking at every single possibility that there is out there. And, and so when you, for example, we talk about, a lot of people think that we should tranquilize and relocate. That's not going to happen, because the department won't allow it. And they won't allow it for very good reasons. Deer often have brainworm, and brainworm's not fatal to deer, but it is fatal to the mainland moose. So you can't relocate deer to a different area and expect the problem not to happen. So this decision to recommend that we have a mitigation strategy, and the reason that it's included in the motion, that it would be included in a controlled call, is because we don't want to mislead the public into thinking that we're going to, have a contraceptive that's going to work, or we're going to, people want us to, as I say, trap, neuter, and release, and these are not kittens at the wharf. These are large wild animals. So the practicality and the expense of doing that is just not there. In fact, a lot of the animals probably wouldn't survive the stress. So the most humane thing that can be done is an organized call with professional hunters at this point in time to reduce the size of the herd. Now, Councillor Cleveland's correct. That some communities have found that initially that the call hasn't reduced the population, but it also hasn't allowed the population to expand. And what we are seeing in the town of Yarmouth, I don't think it's any secret, is that the population is expanding. On Chestnut Street, just a week and a half ago in the middle of the afternoon, I had to stop to let 13 deer cross the road in front of me, including 2 bucks. And that was just a very short distance from your worship's home. So we know that there's a problem, and we're, as I say, the committee did due diligence, and we've kept the public informed to our best of our ability. Nobody, I mean, they're a lovely, graceful animal to look at, and nobody wants to, but it's reaching epidemic proportions, and we have to do something.
Thank you. One more.
I should have turned it off. I was just going to reiterate what he said about tranquilizing. You can't tranquilize an adult deer. Even Hope for Wildlife won't take adult deer. They only take the babies. Because of the stress, it will kill them anyway. So maybe that's the answer.
Councillor Bell, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Number one, I think one of the things that we're not talking about here tonight is the increasing prevalence of Lyme disease in our community. And deer, are the vector hosts for the tick, for the deer tick. And it is increasingly, we are seeing an exponential rise in the cases of Lyme and anaplasmosis. It's becoming not unusual to hear about someone who is either taking a course of antibiotics or in the hospital because they're so sick that they need IV antibiotics. This is not a joke. This is pretty serious stuff. And that just adds to the rationale that I am using to try to make peace with having to go down this road because I think, like all of us, nobody wants to shoot a deer in the town of Yarmouth. But this subject is not going away. Like, this is just not going away. I can remember Councillor Ken Langell talking about this subject and how long has he been gone, and his idea of bow hunters doing a bow hunt in the town of Yarmouth. So these deer they're not going away. Climate change is fueling this exponential increase because we do not have winters that kill deer anymore. We do not have predators that kill deer anymore. We don't have dogs roaming in the streets that will chase deer out of town anymore. We have people that are feeding deer, and they're feeding them not only scraps from the table, but they're feeding them because we all want to grow beautiful shrubs and flowers. And the deer have decided that that's really tasty. So all of those factors are going into the decision-making that I'm making about supporting this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lesser and then Councillor Dare.
I've struggled with this since I mentioned the first time it was brought up. I'm struggling with all of it. I lose sleep over it. I know there's a deer issue. I heard it on the doorsteps like everybody else. I have a hard time thinking the only solution can be a call. I don't know. When I made that comment the first time, I did say that I was interested to see what the public would have to say, and I don't know if that was somebody maybe was watching that also agree with that, but I had a lot of people reach out after saying that they're not in favor of a call. And I would say, for sure, I've had more people on that side than I have the other. I also think that's maybe a bit biased from my own reality because of the fact that I made that comment early on. But I'm struggling with it, for sure. I don't know what the solution is. I don't see the call working. I have an uncle that lives in Truro, and the numbers haven't gone down. Like it's, and I know maybe the numbers haven't gone up, but I don't know. I'm really struggling with it, and I can't see myself supporting a call at this point, knowing that there may be something else out there, and maybe there isn't at this point, something else. And do I feel it's going to pass? I'm sure it probably will, but I don't think I would sleep well at night knowing that I voted in favor of it. So I won't be supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Dayers?
Yeah, just to clarify the difference between a call and dispatching the animal in another manner. One of the problems with which would be considered a more humane method, I suppose, would be by chemical means. And the problem with that is that the animal is no longer useful for a food source. And that's something that the department, I think, would likely, well, I know they'll discourage and they'll frown upon that. So that's part of the rationale.
Yep. Thank you. Kelly? Councillor Kelly?
I think we need to be careful when we talk about reasons like Lyme disease being more prevalent. There's no scientific connection that Lyme disease is brought into town by deer. We need to be careful because that can alarm people. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. There's no scientific evidence to prove that there's a direct correlation between Lyme disease and deer wandering around your town. Again, I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen, but again, there's no scientific study to back that up.
Okay, so we're going to vote. I'm good with it, and hunting season. This is simple for me. We have an issue. We have like Councillor Kelly said, it's not scientific, but the Lyme disease from the ticks. We hear that so much. I guess you kind of, like you said, can't prove scientifically, but does it exist? There's just so many things. And somebody, I think I said on one of the calls, and you didn't boot me off, I said, how bad does it have to get? Do we have to lose another human life from somebody running into a deer or a deer doing something that's what it causes? And then everybody's in an uproar. But in the end, for me, I mean, we have hunting season. People go out, they hunt deer, they eat them, and we've got too many in town, and we have too many people that are hungry. To me, we need to fix the problem. If a call works and we can take that food and not waste it, and every bit of the deer, because you were saying like that's got a plan. We believe they're beautiful animals and nobody likes to hurt them, but we're okay. We seem to be okay with hunting season and fishing and all those things that feed people. So we've got an issue, and we've got to. I don't think it's going to solve it either completely, but you're just saying that part of the solving is the call, not the whole piece. That's just a part of it. So I'm definitely in support of it. You want one more go at it? Yeah.
One more. Just to be clear, I respect that people believe that there are too many. I see it myself. Yeah. Okay, I respect that. I don't support alarming people, and I don't support throwing out ideas here and there because of how you feel. I'm about the scientific part of it. I am. Because with that you have true data and true knowledge of how to throw out a solution that will work. I'm not saying the call won't work. I said right at the beginning, it couldn't be a call, it would have to be a hunt. And I think Gil said it would have to be over a period of years, correct? Yeah. So just to be clear, I just don't support a call, that's all. Yeah, I support looking for a solution. In the end, what will happen, but I don't support a call. And yes, people hunt deer and people eat them. I don't, but I have a son that hunts. He's still allowed to come to my house. I still feed him, and I'll feed him a turkey when he comes over. It's not that. It's about the scientific data to be able to make the best possible decision for the best solution. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, so we're good. Are we good to vote? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Nay. How many nays have I got? Two. Okay. All right, so motion carried. All right, reports for information, and everything should be attached. And the mayor's report. Can you believe that? Which I'll rewrite for you, Tina. Which I'll do a mayor's report, which I'll rewrite for you to get it down to the numbers. Were you going to say something, Councillor?
I'm sure, I know Lindsay's on this, but the committee appointments, obviously, they're not attached for anybody to see. I know they will be, but for anybody that might be following along, because I'm sure lots of people at home are on the internet watching this, but they will, I'm sure, be attached at some point. So.
Yep. Okay, so I do have a mayor's report, and I'll go through it quickly. The beginning of a new mandate for any council is an exciting time. And while we look forward to what the future will bring, it's the perfect time to peek back at how far we've come. It's good to have a starting point. And I was pretty happy to be able to put these things on in point form. By no means can I say everything we've done. CAO, how many decisions do we make in a year? In a year? Okay, 400 decisions in a year, like I'd say minimum, okay? As the service center for southwestern Nova Scotia, our regular population goes from 7,000 to daily number to over 20,000 every day, with folks coming into work, shop, and more every day. The importance of what we do affects the entire region on a daily basis, and we're glad to have everyone within the town during those times. It was a busy 4 years that saw much change and forward community movement, lots of excitement. We all know things are here move at the speed of government, as they say, AKA things take forever, and yet the changes over the past couple of years are numerous and they're exciting. I'll start with the population. It went up this term for the first time since 1994. That's 30 years our population hasn't gone up, and by nearly 5%. That number's nearly unheard of. Hundreds have moved to Yarmouth for a variety of reasons, and all of them good. The quality of life, the cost of living, access to seaside living, and much more, including the kindness of our people, brought folks here to live, work, and play. We've worked with our neighbors in Moda and Modi to make some big moves. The Mariner Centre is by far the biggest project ever undertaken taken on by the 3 units, and the groundbreaking will happen soon. One of the best things, there, I just lost my place. One of the best things that happened is that the municipality of Argyle joined the town and the municipality of Yarmouth in ownership of the Mariner Centre, now a true Yarmouth County project. The Jumpstart Court was added thanks to the generosity of Canadian Tire, and if anybody drives by there any time of day or night, like those kids are on there playing ball, I love to watch that. They're loving it. The Splash Park was a welcome addition that's been well used by our kids. We put in millions to ensure the ferry terminal was cat ready. Oh, and the cat came back and she's staying for a little while. With the Congrès hosted by Argyle and Clare, Modi and the town stepped in as sponsors, and the town hosted the Tintamarre, the biggest event, I would say, that's happened here in, I'd say, forever. The town worked with Wahosapa to bring First Nations to bring attention to truth and reconciliations by doing events with them, and we continue to learn. As a town, we purchased 2 new buses for our transit, and just today, you probably, if you were on social media or listened to the news, you heard that the town of Yarmouth, as of December, transit will be free for everyone, which is a huge move. And we just want people to be able to move around the town and not worry about finding that toonie. And some folks may not even have it. So this is going to be a big deal. The Vancouver Street intersection was completed without incident, a huge multi-million-dollar project of great importance because it gets people up to the hospital. Bike lanes were added on a couple streets. Active transportation trails were added with so many positives coming as a result. South Playground is under review as the public shared with us what's important to them in that space. Housing is on everyone's thoughts, and we have quite a number of developments coming into play, some of which have already begun. So more housing will be coming up. And being good neighbors, the town had a bulk water station put in that would provide access to water during droughts. We did it for the droughts, but it turns out that it's utilized 24/7, 365. And although at times it goes down because it is technology, we do our best to ensure that it's running again as soon as possible. The downtown, over the last couple of years, has won numerous awards, as has Communities in Bloom, showing that the community does show up and believes in itself. Benches have been added throughout the town, including the Pride Bench, African Nova Scotian, Mental Health, Truth and Reconciliation benches, all adding to what we know is quality of life. Oh, and let's not forget about the addition of the beloved bump outs. Everyone loves those. Murals and facade programs continue. The Veterans Banner program is also a huge success and one of our favorites. The Black Battalion Monument at the Cenotaph was a highlight. We're just trying to highlight people and cultures and everything, and it's all coming together. After 10 years of I don't want to use the word fight, of advocating, we finally have been permitted to allow ATVs on Water Street, and we keep checking in with the RCMP. 0 negative results have been received, so that's a positive. And alas, money talks, and in July of this year, I think folks know that the town became tax-free, something to celebrate for sure. Debt-free. What did I say, tax-free? Nope, you're still paying your taxes, okay? It became debt-free, which is good because you pay your taxes. Okay, so the list is longer, but I'll stop there because I had 2 more pages of the things that we've accomplished and we're really proud of. The upcoming, what we've looked at, I did this just in list form and by no means all-inclusive. We've got an MPS and municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw review, which sounds boring, but it's huge and it just allows us to, well, it does sound boring. You ever read some of those documents? Yes, you have. You're really good at it. I have to read them 3 times to understand most of them. But it's important because of how we manage the town and what we permit and what we don't. I've said more housing is on the way. We just said okay to the RFP for Parks, Culture and Rec, which we're excited about. We've got an RFP out for the Sweeney Museum. Tons of committee work, which we just signed off on today. Next steps for deer management, EDI, accessibility are all moving along. We've got work on the waterfront development because our waterfront is just there and prime for development. We've got advocacy on those things that don't fall under our mandate, but people feel that they do, and that is housing, it's mental health, it's health care on all levels. So the advocacy is happening there. Public education on 3 levels of government that we'll be doing. Strategic planning happens in January and February, so we get to sit down and say, what do we want to do over the next 4 years? Like, what order are we going to do it in? What's important to the people, and how do we want to make that happen? And then I mentioned the municipal moments that were coming. So the list is long of upcoming, and every single meeting and every committee that you folks go to, more things come up. So that list doesn't end. We all know at this table that economic times are difficult and we need to help each other. We also need to help ourselves by doing the advocacy and the hard work. Mental health issues are at the forefront of healthcare, and we do tend to support all those pieces that come together to make that easier for folks. I guess I just want to say to the public that, I want to say a lot, but I'll just say a couple of things. Council's listening. And I talk to most council members every single day, and I hear what they're sharing. We share with each other what we're hearing out there. Everyone at this table is listening, and we're listening intently to what the community is saying. we just don't go out and announce everything that we're doing, because we have to get the groundwork under us and set things up so that we can get things done. But we will do whatever's in our power, to help you make this community better. And we want to hear from you. I simply asked, as I said a little bit earlier, that we understand that everyone at this table and staff are giving their all, and that we're respectful in our communications. And I think that's just human nature. We hear each other better when we're just being respectful and having conversations, as opposed to what happens too often just in one space, though. But you know how it is. So kindness and patience, and our attitudes, I would say, go probably the furthest towards changes that we want to see. So we've got a lot going on, and we're excited to, as everybody said, let's just get at it. Let's get moving. So we're excited. Thanks, folks. Any questions for committee chairs? Can't remember if we were here this late, ever. Huh? Okay. Deputy wants to do the meeting next time. We'll be out in 10 minutes. Okay. Approval of invoices, that various invoices be approved for payment, please. Okay, Deputy, second by Councillor Bell. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And the date of the next council meeting is December the 12th. Okay, do we have anything in camera?
Yes, Your Worship, we have one real estate matter to discuss.
Okay. So can I have a motion to go in camera, please? Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone.